Hi everyone, good morning. I hope you're able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So in the last session, we have seen the prerequisites to start this training and how we can set up the account and how we can install SQL Server Management Studio and how we can install Azure Storage Explorer that we came across it. And where exactly we are going to use all of these services or all of these prerequisites, we'll see in the future sessions. But we need to make sure to set up all these things. And if anyone is facing an issue, let me know. I'll help you by connecting one-to-one. And today I'm going to continue. We have even started this one also, Azure resources hierarchy. How exactly the resources are going to be kept in the Azure platform. So when you create an account, the account will be treated as a tenant. The tenant is going to have a multiple management groups. These groups will be used to these groups or these hierarchies will be used to handle the resources efficiently. So for that reason, we are having the hierarchy of the resources. So under management group, we are going to have a subscriptions. Under management groups, we are going to have a subscriptions. And subscription is going to decide how much bill you're going to get. If you don't have a subscription, if you have a only management group, that's not going to be possible. When the moment to create a subscription, that subscription falls under the root management group. So in the last session, I was showing you where exactly it is going to be there. Again, I'm just logging to the portal. To consume the services or to work for Azure services, we need to go to the Microsoft portal. I mean, portal.azure.com. So here I have a subscriptions, hit on subscriptions, and see here the management group name is tenant root group. Tenant group, it is the name of the group. So every subscription has to fall under management group. So if you don't choose the management group, by default it will go and sit in the root management group. Forget about all those things. Here my intention is subscription means it decides how much bill we are getting. Under the subscription, and even one management group can have other management groups also. The hierarchy can be like this. And I wanted to say, even under the subscription, we are going to have a resource groups. Resource groups, we are going to have it. Resource group 1, resource group 2. You can have a multiple resource groups like this. Four, 5, and 6. In the same way, you can also have a subscription under this management group. Just taking a little thickness. Just a moment. So I wanted to have a same thickness, so I'm just taking like this. So under subscription 1, I have a 2 resource groups. So what is this resource group? I'll give it. And under subscription 2, I have a resource group 3. You can have a multiple resource groups. Under management group, you're going to have a subscriptions. And subscription 3 is having resource group 4. Subscription 4 is having resource group 5 and resource group 6. So what is there inside this resource group? First of all, what is this resource group here is? The resource group is used to keep our resources. Resource group is used to keep our services. Like if we have a Azure Data Factory, where do you want to keep the Azure Data Factory? Where do you want to keep where do you want to keep the Azure Data Factory? That is going to be decided by that. Let me write few points here, or let me keep that. So I wanted to take a data factory or database. I wanted to take the database. This database is going to be there in the part of resource groups. So as a data engineer, we required database. That database is going to be sit in the resource group. If you don't have a resource group, then you cannot create a database. You cannot create a database. So database is important for us. And I'm going to have a data factory, ADF, ADB, something like this. So just imagine I wanted to take the 3 services. These 3 services you have to keep in the resource group only, any resource group. How we are going to decide, or how the solution architects are going to decide the resource group naming standards, I'll tell you how exactly it is going to be. Now I'm just going to make a connection. This is going to be there as part of this. Something like this. Let me take a different color. Okay, so what happens is if you want to take the data factory, we need to have a resource group. So like this, the resource groups are going to be having the resources. And here is our resources. We are going to use these services. Who is going to set up all these things is going to be taken care by administrators. Azure administrators are going to take care about it. We are not going to be part of it. Now my target is I wanted to take the data factory. I wanted to take the data factory. If you want to take the data factory, what we required to take any service from Azure. So Azure is a market. So Microsoft is having a market called Azure. And in order to take the service from the Microsoft Azure, we required the following items. We required the following items. The very first thing is subscription is required. If you don't have a subscription, then you cannot take the service. That's what I told you. Subscription decides how much bill we are going to get. How much we used, that is going to be decided by the subscription. So subscription is required. The subscription may be free trial or paid subscription. Any subscription is fine. And then 100% resource group is required. Resource group is required. And from which region you're taking the service, that you need to specify the region name. If you're taking from Central India, you can specify Central India. If you're taking from East US, you have to specify East US. So region, the country name that you need to specify. So in India, we have a two data centers, two regions we're having, Central India, South India, and even I guess West India also is there, but not much more services. So region is required. From where you're taking the service, that you need to specify. That means from which location you want to take service. So that we need to specify here. And finally, you're going to specify service details, a specific service like ADF, ADB, and so on. So whatever the service that you're taking, that related service details we need to provide. So these things are required in order to take the services. And for us, we require to know about resource group. I'm going to talk about resource group. So resource group is like a container, or resource group is like a bucket. It is a container where we can keep related services of your solution. So if you want to provide the solution for your big data, if you want to provide a solution for your big data, then you're going to keep all big data related services inside this resource group. How we are going to create a resource group, we are going to see, but again, we are not responsible in real time to create a resource group. We are not responsible for this. Someone is going to take care about it. Someone is going to take care We are not going to be decision makers to create a resource group or to use the uh, to decide what resource group that we required. So that will be taken care by someone else. We don't need to worry about it. So as a data engineer, we need to know how we can use it. Up to that only our activities are going to be there. Now, if you take an example, like how exactly the naming standard is going to be decided is in general. In my case, depends on the environment. We decided the resource group names. My solution architects, they decided, they came up with the naming standard based on the environment. So example is, you can keep all big data related services into one resource group. And you can have a you can keep all SQL servers. Let's say, for example, if there is any service-based company, they used to have a multiple SQL servers, multiple virtual machines. Okay, so depends on their requirement. They can keep all the SQL servers in one bucket and all virtual machines in one bucket. They can keep it. So you can keep all VMs, virtual machines, or SQL DBs into one resource group. And you can also have a resource groups based on the environment. As I said, you can have resource groups based on environment, like dev, UAT, and prod. So some people, they used to call it as a testing also. So like this, we are going to have it. So most of the times we are going to have a resource group based on the environment when you're going to work as a data engineer. Now we need to create a resource group. In real time, we don't create it, but here we need to do practice, right? We need to have a data factory. If you don't have a data factory, then you don't know how to create a pipeline for data engineering. And if you don't have a Databricks, you don't know how to transform the data as per the business requirement. In order to set up this practice environment, we need to know about the resource group and we need to know about how we can create a resource group. So to create a resource group, there are two different approaches are there. To create a resource group, there are two different approaches. To create a resource group, we have two ways. One is by using resource group service. There is a service. Resource group is also one of the service to set up it. And other is while taking the service, while taking a service also, we can create a resource group. Or while taking a resource, we can say it is a service. So by using the resource group service, we can create a resource group, and by using or by creating a resource, we can create a resource group. Now let me show you practically so that you can understand. And this is going to be a one-time job in general, but I always recommend whenever you're going to start the practice, create a resource group and do your practice. Once your practice is completed, then remove the resource group and redo everything on every day. so that we used to get a less bill. And even if we keep the services, even if we keep fee services, you're not going to be charged much. Even I kept my services in the data factory. I'm not having much more charges. So I'll show you. First of all, my intention is how can we create a resource group? So this is a portal. You're there in the portal. This is the first thing you're going to do to practice with the Azure Data Factory. So this is also, we can say, prerequisite. Okay, so since we are going to do it in every day or most of the times frequently, so I'm not keeping in the prerequisite, but at the time of working, this should be there. This should be taken care by someone else. Now to create a service, you can see this is a portal menu. You can go to the home and I'm there in the home. In the home, you can find there is a search resources, services, and docs. You can search your data factory name, whatever you created, or you can search the resources, whatever the resource that you need to take it. So these are all I'm able to see is because these are all frequently used services for me, so I'm able to see. But from your side, when you create your account, you cannot see these options. You can see only this one. You can just search in this particular search. This is a global search for the portal. And here what you have to search is, you have to search resource group. You have to search the resource group. When you search the resource group, you're going to get the service called a resource groups. Just observe resource groups. You can see here resource groups. Hit on resource groups. Here I have a multiple resource groups here. I'm just going to create my own resource group now for our practice. Hit on create. You can give any naming standard. I do follow the naming standard of based on the environment. So since there is already a resource group name with the dev, I'm just going to create a resource group with the tester. You can see what is a resource group. A resource group is a container that holds related services for an Azure solution. So if you wanted to keep the big data related services, then you can keep all big data related services in the resource group. Or if you wanted to create a solution for the data science, then you can keep all data science related services. Or if you're going to work with the web application, all web application related services you can keep in the resource group. As a data engineer, we are going to provide a solution for the big data. So we need to keep all the big data related services in this particular resource group. So 3 environment will be there: dev, test, prod. Okay, so I'm just going to create a resource group based on the environment. Now just provide the resource group name, Bhaskar-test. So Bhaskar-test is available. You can see the tick mark. Keep all of them in lowercase. That is the best practice. And I told you region is required. Region means a location. From which location you wanted to take this resource group. Here I told you to take any service, subscription is required. I'm having a subscription here. And what else is required? Of course, since we are creating a resource group, the second is an optional. Region is required. I just selected a region. I wanted to keep the nearest location. My nearest location is Central India. Just take it. And resource group name, I just provided it. So whatever the details are required to create this resource group that I provided, and no one will ask you, did you create a resource group? 100% is not our responsibility. You can straight away say that. But you can create it. If you're working with the data factory means, I'm sure everyone should be aware of how they are going to create a resource group, because without resource group, you cannot create a data factory. So for that reason, we're all going to be aware of it. For practicing, these details are much more enough for us. Just straight away go for review plus create. This tags and all is not required for us. All this information is required for administrators, not for us. Let me hit on create. Now resource group is created Bhaskar-test. And my storage location is Central India. So why I'm having Central India is my nearest location is Central India. So the network charges will be less if I'm trying to access it. Let's say there is a one more resource group with the East US. If I store the data in East US, if I'm trying to access the data from East US, then there will be a latency and there will be little network charges also. So to avoid it, basically for practicing, I used to say create a resource group or create a resources within the nearest region. So because of that reason, Microsoft come up with the different regions. More 125 regions are there. Okay. And now you have seen how we can create a resource group. While creating a service also you can create a resource group. While creating a service also we can create a resource group. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a data factory. So while creating a service means you're trying to take the service. While taking a service or while taking a resource group contains resources. This we can call them as a resources or we can call them as services. Resources or services both are same. I wanted to create a data factory. So creating a data factory is very, very simple. Without knowing also we can create it. But creation again is not our job. Now I'm going to show you how we can create a how we can create a resource group while taking the service. So let's search for data factories. You can see a data factories. Just open it. I'm already having multiple data factories here, but I'm just going to create a new data factory plus create. And what it is asking, resource group. I told you, in order to take the service from the Microsoft Azure, we require a subscription. The first point is the subscription. I have taken here subscription. And then what is asking? Resource group. And resource group also just mentioned here. We created a resource group. You can use the existing resource group if you want. But here my intention is I wanted to create a resource group while taking the service. So there is an option here. You can see create new. A resource group is a container that holds related resources for an Azure solution. So I'm just giving a resource group name as Bhaskar-prod. Let me hit OK. Now I can see the resource group and I'm going to give the data factory is Bhaskar ADF temp 123. I'm just giving some name and reason is also required. That's what I mentioned. Resource group name is required and reason is required. For every service, you don't create a resource group. For collection of services, you're going to have a resource group. So it's a one-time activity. 3 resource groups only will be there for the project. And data factory name, from which region I wanted to take, you need to specify. Wherever the storage is there, in the same place, just create a service. Just try to keep all the services in the same location, even for practicing. In the real time, 100% they're going to keep in the location, in the single location, and that will be taken care by infrastructure architectures. So those architects only is going to be responsible for that. Just leave it everything default. I'm just going to say review plus create. And hit on create. Now go to resource. Now I'm there in the data factory. Let's go to home. In the home, we created a resource group. Just search for resource groups. Open it. Now there are many resource groups are there. Inside Bhaskar-test is our resource group. Inside this resource group, I don't have anything. But we created a prod resource group also with the data factory. So data factory is a service. So here we have an option to minimize the blades. You can minimize and you can expand also. And this service is located in the central India. So like this, I'm having other resource groups. And once you have started using the services, you can find the frequently used services here. You can navigate directly into the resource groups. Any question as of now? Okay. Now we are aware of how we can create a resources. Then what is our main goal? What is our main goal to discuss all these things? The main goal is to provide a solution for the big data. So to provide a solution for big data, we require services. And by using these services, we are going to provide a solution for the big data. And to understand a solution for big data, first we need to understand what are the problems? What problems are there? What problems are there with the market? So there are two problems. There are two problems are existed in the market. So one is data storage. So big data means there will be a huge volume of the data. So data storage is a problem. And data processing is a problem. These two problems only was there. So your traditional systems are not capable enough to provide the solution for the big data. Of course, Hadoop provides the solution, but Hadoop takes more time to develop, and the developer should know about Java or something like that. But when it comes to here, we don't need to write a code. Without writing the code, they wanted to provide a solution. So from Microsoft, in order to store the data, they come up with the services. So what services we're having is blob storage account and ADLS Gen 2 account, Azure SQL database, Azure DWH, and Cosmos DB. Okay, for doing a data processing from Microsoft, we have a ADF, ADB, Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. There are other also, like from Microsoft, I can say sign-offs is there, but this is going to be feature, it is going to be deprecated. And there is a Fabric also. So to provide a solution for the big data or to process the data specific to talk, in order to do the data processing from Microsoft Azure, they have all these platforms to provide a solution. They have all these services to provide a solution. So we can provide a solution for storage and we can provide a solution for data processing. So how can we store the data, or what are the different services are there? I'm just giving a naming, but we need to know about all this stuff. How exactly we can have a storage platform? I wanted to give little more details. So again, I'm just going to explain diagrammatically so that you can understand easily. Azure data storages, Azure data storage platform. So this is one platform Microsoft is having, Azure data storage platform, in order to store the data. If you remember, we talked about types of services. What are the types of services we're having? SaaS services, PaaS services, and IaaS services. And SaaS services are rolled out. And we are going to have these two services. And this is also is not from our case. So our services is PaaS services. But Microsoft Azure is providing a solution to store the data from the two different platforms. One is PaaS services and other is IaaS services. So PaaS platform I'm having. I'm going to have a IaaS platform also. No SaaS. So here we have a platform, but we are not going to use it. Someone is going to set up it. Let's go with a different color. Yeah. So this Azure data storages is providing a solution to store the data in the two flavors. One is with the PaaS platform and other is IaaS platform. In two flavors they are providing. And for time being, we just ignore about this. Let's concentrate on the PaaS. As a Azure data engineer, we are going to spend the time with the PaaS platform. So I'm just going to take this, and there are again, we have a varieties of the platforms or varieties of the flavors. Here I'm going to have a storage account. So storage account is one of the service which is going to store the data. So like this, I'm having Azure SQL Server and Cosmos DB. And Azure Data Warehouse. Azure AWS. So four are there here. Under this also we have a 4. In order to store the data from the Microsoft Azure, we have a 2 different platforms. One is PaaS platform, IaaS platform. In the PaaS, we're having a storage account, Azure SQL Server database. So as a data engineer, 100% is everyone is going to use the storage account. It's very, very important for us. Azure SQL Server is very, very important for us. Everyone should know about this too. We cannot avoid them. We can avoid this and we can avoid this. But 100% is everyone should know about this too. And inside the storage account, we have a 2 flavors. Inside storage account, we have a 2 flavors. Let me adjust like this. So one is blob account. We're going to have a blob account and we're going to have a ADLS Gen 2 account. So 2 accounts we are going to have. One is blob account, other is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account. And this service is specifically designed for big data. Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 is designed for us only. 100% we are going to use this. Your data factory will use this and your Databricks also is going to use the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So that much important it is. So we are going to discuss about this. Whatever is related to big data that we are going to discuss. Then if it is related to big data, then what is the purpose of this blob account? The blob account is for general purpose. The blob account is for general purpose. So this account is designed for everyone, not only for us. For everyone it is generated. But basically we are going to use Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So you can ignore this. But to have an account as a blob, to have an account as for general purpose storage, for backup data storage, we can use the same service only. Same service. The difference between these two is one checkbox while creating. If you check that particular checkbox, I'll show you how it is going to be there. If you check that checkbox, then this storage account will be treated as a Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account. If you don't check that checkbox, that will be treated as a blob account. So general purpose is different and big data processing purpose is different. And this is designed for big data processing. And in the storage, since we are going to use it for big data processing, then we need to know about this service only. Rest of them, just ignore it. So for that, we need to know about what we can do inside this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account. So what we can store here? We can store I can store the blobs. By using this, we can store the blobs. Blobs means files. So you can store the files here. And you can also store tables. And you can store, you can do file sets. And you can store quiz. Okay, you can have a quiz here. So while creating a service, I'll explain how exactly it is going to be there so that you can understand. By seeing this diagram, we are going to store the data in the form of different flavors. But as a data engineer, again here, we are going to use only blobs, only the files. So data is going to be there in the form of files. We have a JSON files and we have a Parquet files, CSV files, different varieties of the files we can keep in the blobs. Even for general purpose also, we are going to have the same options. For general purpose also, we are going to have the same options. But the purpose of the storage is for general storage, not for data processing. But to distribute the data across the different nodes, and if you increase the performance, then we need to have a Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account. And this is about this PaaS side. What about IaaS side? I'll just give an idea, but we are not going to be part of this. So here they can have Oracle database. They can have a DB2, or they can have Netezza. So whatever the database they need, they can keep it in the in the IaaS platform, and we can read the data from the IaaS platform also. We are going to be consumers. We are going to bring the data from here, and we are going to keep the data in the storage account. So to take the data from here to here, we are going to use the ADF. Or on-prem also will be there, right? So some businesses, they used to have a data in the on-prem databases. So you can also take the data, all the data is going to sit in the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Whatever the data source you're having, for all the data sources, we are going to take the data from the varieties of the sources, and we are going to target or keep the data in the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 for further processing. So in the data ingestion, we ingest the data into this place, and then we are going to transform, or we are going to start doing the transformation. So we need to know how we can create the storage account for practice, and we need to know how we can use this blobs. So blobs only is very important for us. So in the next session, I'm going to talk about specific to this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account. So two problems are there in the market. One is data storage problem and other is data processing. Now we are talking about data storage platform in the Microsoft Azure. So in order to store the data, we required Azure storage account. The storage account is having two flavors. One is blob account, another is ADLS Gen 2 account. So we are going to concentrate more on this on tomorrow. Any question, guys, before stopping? Okay then. Thank you for joining. We'll see you on tomorrow.